Hello hockey fans, and welcome back to another episode of Whatever Happened To, the series where we take a where are they now look at players who found success in the National Hockey League but are no longer permanent fixtures in the league, either due to controversy, poor play, or just rotten luck. In today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at a 9-year veteran of the league, as we ask, whatever happened to Lauri Korpikoski? Before we begin, this video is brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped is the #1 provider of men's below-the-belt grooming, trusted by over 2 million customers worldwide, thanks to their precision-engineered tools that help you take care of what's down there. Now, you've heard me talk about Manscaped's wide variety of high-quality products over the last few months, but I think it's time to bring out the big guns now and introduce you to the Performance Package. The ultimate bundle in men's hygiene, the Performance Package includes Manscaped's iconic Lawnmower 3.0, several bottles of their liquid formulations, as well as the Weed Whacker, an ear and nose hair trimmer designed to tackle even the toughest of jobs. It even comes with a fancy travel bag and a pair of anti-chafing boxers too, so you're really getting a bang for your buck here, folks. If all of that isn't enticing enough for you though, every purchase made on manscaped.com goes towards their contributions to the Testicular Cancer Society. So not only are you tackling all of your grooming needs, you're also supporting a great cause. So if you want to try the Performance Package for yourself, help support the channel a little bit further, or play your part in the battle against testicular cancer, head on over to manscaped.com and use the promo code OddManRush20 for 20% off your order plus free shipping. That's manscaped.com and promo code OddManRush20 for 20% off your order plus free shipping. Manscaped, refining the gentleman. But anyway, back to the video. The 19th overall pick of the 2004 NHL draft by the New York Rangers, Lauri Korpikoski would spend the following 2 seasons in his native Finland, where he suited up for his hometown side TPS Turku and scored just 13 points in 92 Liga games. This total may not seem that impressive on the surface, but considering this was the first time he had suited up in his country's top tier of competition, and he was playing against men who were much older and more experienced than he was, the teenager may have struggled to rack up points, but he was more than capable of holding his own, as his impressive discipline and his strong defensive play helped him secure a place amongst Finland's elite. Once the 05-06 Liga season had concluded, New York felt that it was time for Korpikoski to make the move across the pond and officially join their organisation, as he joined the Rangers' AHL affiliate, the Hartford Wolfpack, for the rest of the year. In fact, the Finnish forward would spend the next 2 seasons of his career with the team and continued to refine his overall game in the minors, as he potted 36 goals and 91 points in 172 regular season games, along with 3 points in 23 playoff games. After notching 23 goals and 50 points in 79 games during the 07-08 AHL season, Korpikoski would receive the greatest news of his career. He had just been called up to the Rangers roster and would be making his NHL debut during the 2008 Stanley Cup playoffs. Unfortunately though, Korpikoski's debut would end up being New York's final game of the postseason, as the Rangers took an overtime loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins and were eliminated from the playoffs that night. That said, Korpikoski did score his first NHL goal in that game, so it wasn't all bad, right guys? As the 08-09 NHL season approached, Korpikoski was keen to build on his debut game and show the Rangers that he was ready to suit up for their team full-time. Thanks to his strong performance during the preseason, the youngster would get his wish, as he survived each round of cuts during training camp and earned a place on New York's opening night roster. From there, the former first-round pick would spend the entire year with the team, except for a 4-game stint with Hartford midway through the season, and finished his rookie year having scored 6 goals and 14 points in 68 games. Not exactly Calder-winning numbers, of course, but given that he only registered 14 penalty minutes in that same span, Korpikoski's overall game showed an impressive level of maturity for a 22-year-old in his first year in the bigs. Once his rookie season had concluded and his entry-level contract had expired, Korpikoski would soon discover that his time on Broadway had come to an end. On July 13th, 2009, New York traded Korpikoski to the Phoenix Coyotes in exchange for forward Enver Lisin. Having left the only NHL team he had ever known after just a single season on their roster, the Finnish forward would join the Coyotes organization and quickly put pen to paper on a new deal, as he signed a 2-year contract with the team just 2 days after the trade on July 15th. So having finally earned a place in the Bigs roughly half a decade after he was drafted, Korpikoski would be taking his talents to the other side of the league and joining his second NHL team in as many seasons. Thanks to his improved performance over the coming years, the forward would end up playing under the Arizona Sunshine for much of his pro career. The 09-10 season would see Korpikoski suit up for Phoenix for the first time and look to take both his game and his point production to the next level. Though he would fail to achieve this goal during his debut year with the team, as he potted just 11 points in 71 games, Korpikoski's sophomore stint on the roster would see him finally cement his place as a legitimate player in the league, as the Finnish forward notched an impressive 19 goals and 40 points in 79 games during the 10-11 NHL season. Not only would these numbers end up being the most goals, assists, and points of his entire NHL career, they would also earn Korpikoski another contract with the team, as Phoenix signed him to a 2-year, $3.6 million deal worth an average annual value of $1.6 million a season on July 20th, 2011. Having signed his first multi-million-dollar contract, Korpikoski would return to the Coyotes roster once again during the 11-12 NHL season, and though he would be unable to match his production from the year prior, he would still put up pretty respectable numbers, as he scored 17 goals and 37 points in 82 regular season games. He also helped the Coyotes make it all the way to the 2012 Western Conference Finals, but he would go scoreless in 11 playoff games, as Phoenix were eliminated in the penultimate round by the eventual Stanley Cup champions, the Los Angeles Kings. At least they lost to the best, right guys? So during his first 3 seasons in Phoenix, Korpikoski had taken some real strides forward in his overall game, as his point production had nearly quadrupled in number, while his disciplined defensive play was stronger than ever. With him about to enter the final year of his contract, and with him playing the best hockey of his career to date, the 26-year-old was keen to keep up his performance over the coming season and secure himself a pretty sweet payday. But first, there was a lockout! During the 12-13 lockout, Korpikoski would take his talents to Europe for the first time since 2006, where he rejoined TPS Turku of the Finnish Liga. The hometown hero would waste little time showing just how much he had improved over the last 6 years, by scoring 17 points in just 11 games, before the lockout came to an end and the NHL season finally got underway. Unfortunately, the Finnish forward would be unable to sustain his strong scoring pace once he returned to the Coyotes roster. In fact, the former first-round pick would take a notable step back in his production compared to his prior few seasons, as he finished the year with just 6 goals and 11 points in 36 games, putting him on pace for approximately 25 points over a full season of play. Though he had registered his lowest point total since his debut year with the Coyotes, Phoenix were keen to keep Korpikoski around for many years to come and give him a sizable raise in order to do so, as on July 5th, 2013, the Coyotes signed him to a 4-year, $10 million contract worth an average annual value of $2.5 million a season. So despite producing his lowest scoring season in the last 3 years, Korpikoski had just been handed the biggest and most expensive contract of his entire NHL career. However, this deal wouldn't reach its intended conclusion. The next 2 years of Korpikoski's career would see him continue to take to the ice with the Coyotes, but he would be unable to return to his career-high production of years past. With 25 points in 64 games during the 13-14 season, and with just 21 points in 69 games during the following 14-15 season, it was clear that Korpikoski's scoring numbers had regressed every single year since the 2012 lockout. These totals, coupled with him registering a plus-minus of -34 in that span, prompted the Coyotes to finally call it a day on the forward's tenure with the team, as on June 30th, 2015, Arizona traded Korpikoski to the Edmonton Oilers in exchange for forward Boyd Gordon. So after 6 seasons in the Arizona desert, Korpikoski was taking his talents north of the border and joining the first Canadian team of his NHL career. That said, his time in the true north wouldn't last very long. The 15-16 NHL season would see Korpikoski suit up for the Oilers for the first time and look to get his career back on track after a few down years. Though his overall play would see a slight improvement, his production was still pretty modest to say the least, as he potted 10 goals and 22 points in 71 regular season games. He also improved his plus-minus by 10 points, but his rating still sat at a -17, so there was plenty of room for improvement, you know. On the bright side though, Korpikoski only registered 10 penalty minutes over the course of the season, which was the lowest number of his entire career. At least he still knew how to keep himself out of the sin bin, eh folks? Once his debut year in oil country had concluded, and with him clearly struggling to be the defensively responsible, point-every-2-game player that he once was, the Oilers decided to quickly part ways with their recent acquisition. On June 30th, 2016, it was announced that Edmonton had bought out the final season of Korpikoski's 4-year contract, thus immediately making him an unrestricted free agent. Though he would be eligible to sign a new contract once free agency began just the next day, the forward's disappointing play over the last few years meant that he received minimal offers from around the league. That said, he would get another opportunity before the season began, as he signed a PTO contract with the Calgary Flames on September 22nd, 2016. Despite producing a successful preseason with the team, the Flames still hadn't signed Korpikoski to a contract for the upcoming 16-17 season. Instead of waiting for Calgary to finally make a decision, the forward requested that he be released from his tryout deal with the organisation in order to pursue another contract offer elsewhere. After his request was granted and he once again became a free agent, the 30-year-old wouldn't take long to find a new home in the league, as he signed a 1-year, $1 million contract with the Dallas Stars on October 10th, 2016. So after spending several weeks in Calgary trying to prove that he still belonged in the bigs, Korpikoski had earned another chance south of the border with the second Sunbelt franchise of his career. However, this deal with Dallas would end up being his last in the NHL. The 16-17 season would see Korpikoski take to the ice with the Stars and look to show that he was worthy of the opportunity he had been given by the team. After scoring 8 goals and 20 points in the first 60 games of the year, and with Dallas officially out of the running for the playoffs, the Stars decided to ship Korpikoski elsewhere, as on March 1st, 2017, he was traded to the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for defenseman Dylan Hetherington. From there, the Finnish forward would spend the rest of the season in Columbus, but would fail to register a single point with his new team, as he went scoreless in the final 9 games of the year. That said, he did register an even plus-minus and spent 0 minutes in the penalty box during that same span, which combined with his +5 rating and his 10 penalty minutes with his time in Dallas earlier that year, meant that although he had produced similar scoring numbers to years past, his defensive side of the game had rebounded quite noticeably. Once his 1-year deal had expired, and with his tenure in Columbus being uneventful at best and pretty forgettable at worst, the Blue Jackets declined to extend Korpikoski's contract with the team. Having become an unrestricted free agent once again, and with little to no interest in his services from across the NHL, the Finnish forward decided to take his talents overseas and return to Europe once more, as he signed a 1-year deal with the Swiss National League Zurich Lions on October 26, 2017. In fact, Korpikoski's 9-game stint with the Blue Jackets would end up being his final tenure in North America, meaning he finished his 9-year NHL career having scored 86 goals and 201 points in 609 regular season games, along with 5 points in 30 playoff games. Not the most impressive numbers we've seen so far in this series, but considering he only registered 132 penalty minutes during that same span, and spent much of his career as a bottom six checking line forward, I think it's fair to say that Lauri Korpikoski produced a pretty impressive career in the best league in the world. After moving to Switzerland for the 17-18 season, Korpikoski would join the Lions roster and look to make a strong first impression with his new team. Unfortunately though, the Finnish forward would only suit up in 19 regular season games and scored just 8 points in that span, as he dealt with a number of injuries throughout the year. However, a much healthier Korpikoski would return to the lineup for the Swiss League playoffs, where he would go on to suit up in every single contest for the team, score 6 points in 16 postseason games, and help Zurich lift the 2018 playoff championship. It just goes to show you folks that it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Once his lone year in Zurich had come to an end, Korpikoski decided that he wanted to return to the Finnish Liga and continue his career much closer to home. In fact, his hometown team were also eager to bring him back into the fold and keep him around for many years to come, as on May 21st, 2018, Korpikoski rejoined TPS Turku by putting pen to paper on a whopping 6-year contract with the team. So 12 years after he had left the league behind and begun his career in North America, the 32-year-old was heading back to where it all began and would be proudly suiting up for his childhood team well into the twilight years of his career. Isn't that just the sweetest story you've ever heard? To this day, Lauri Korpikoski is still a member of TPS Turku's roster. At the time of this recording, the captain of the team is currently in the 3rd season of his 6-year deal and has scored 50 points in 70 Liga games to date. With 17 points in just 18 games during the current 2021 Liga season so far, the 34-year-old appears to have rediscovered his goal-scoring rhythm and shows no signs of slowing down anytime soon. So here's hoping he can help Turku win a championship before his contract expires, and he can produce a storybook ending to his career. Oh, it just warms my heart thinking about it, folks. So a guy who was taken 19th overall in his draft class, spent 9 years in the best league in the world, scored 200 points in 600 NHL games, and earned roughly $15 million during his career, is now spending the latter years of his playing days serving as the captain of his hometown team. He certainly could have done a lot worse for himself, couldn't he? And there you go. That's what happened to Lauri Korpikoski. What do you guys think about Korpikoski's NHL career? Was it good, bad, or are you glad to see him back in Turku for the foreseeable future? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. A big thank you to Carl Fairbank, Chris Gadsby, Connor B, Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, Jordan Whitehead, Saturn Otaku, The Legacy, Tom from Finland, Twin Sanity Dad, and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.